It should be noted that this is the special 5 to 6K subscriber special. Extra special sauce on the side. This whole video is an idea that I've had for a while, to be honest, and I've just finally gotten around to doing it. I see no better way to celebrate a milestone reached on this channel than by pissing off some commies, so that's what we're gonna do today. I'm by no means an expert on the subject. Keep that in mind. This entire video is a steaming hot pile of shitposts. All of my information has come directly from either the Wikisphere, YouTube, SparkNotes, or variants thereupon. You have been warned. And without further ado, let's get into the Communism, a step-by-step guide to success. As the French are prone to fucking with typical society lifestyles in every which way that is possible, and leaving in their wake a hella fucking hot mess. See the French Revolution for reference. I see no issue with beginning our journey with the French. Now, for step 1, you're gonna wanna start by coining a term circa 1777 using the powers of philosophy, which, let's be honest, it's philosophy. Philosophy is essentially just your fancy way of saying, I'm too lazy to actually research shit, so I shall sit upon my armchair and think in entirely convoluted ways for no other reason than because I have nothing better to do with my time. Anyway, you're going to want to write a book about it, and it's in French, so the book is going to be entitled something ridiculous like Projet de Communauté Philosophique, or something like that. Pardon my French, I know it's atrocious. And you're gonna want a slappy stupid name on the cover as well, also in French, because we're talking about France here, the original commies. Let's say, Victor Dumpé, or something of that nature. Now, essentially, my SparkNotes version of the SparkNotes version of step 1 is to essentially write a book defining your principles, which is a lifestyle that Dumpé defines as a commune and advises to share all economic and material products between inhabitants of the commune, so that all may benefit from everybody's work. Sounds fun, right? Right? You know, Dumpé, you're already miles and miles ahead of the liberalists. Sargon doesn't even have a book written. Also, this takes place like 241 years before Sargon decided to form his thing, but that's irrelevant. Then, in true postmodernist fashion, I don't know what that word means, mind you, we're going to blame the entirety of the existence of a current world ideology on religion. More specifically, scripture. Inspired Christian monastic communities and orders that share all manner of property around. Like it's a whore.
If she breathes, she's a...
Yeah. Now, can we give a shout out to Nice Guy Jesus? Please and thank you. Go for you. Alright, moving on. By now I'm sure you've realized that there are a few different origins for the idea of modern communism, and because I'm a lazy fuck, we're going to breeze by the other 42,000 other origins that I could find in this section of Wikipedia. 1516, the book Utopia by Thomas More, an English writer, put forth the idea of the common ownership of property. 17th century England, the Puritans, because...
Of course!
The Puritans. Specifically these Puritans, who honestly could not have come up with a better name, known as the Diggers, advocated the abolition of private ownership. 18th century, the good old age of Enlightenment. More renowned thinkers of the age, such as Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and later, following the French Revolution. Hey, we were talking about it earlier, right? There it is. Communism had become the norm. And then in the 19th century, we have the rise of social reformers establishing what are essentially commie states. It's like an ethno-state, but where sharing is caring is replacing the white is right mantra. You catch my drift. A few examples of these are the Brook Farm 1841 to 1847 and New Harmony in Indiana 1825. Essentially, the vibes I'm getting from history are that we should mainly attribute the English in France for the idea of the communal property ownership. This is what becomes of society when you have nothing better to do than philosophize all day, let's be honest. So, to wrap up, step 1 is all about the search for the communist ideology identity as a moody high school teen that hates life as is and thinks the world is unfair because of a silly thing called jealousy. You know that concept where someone has something that you don't have but you want it? Yeah, that's what this is. This culminates nicely, lasting until some new intellectual hotshots decide to write another book. Literature. the source of all world problems. This why I'm not an English major, kids. This is formally referred to as the Communist Manifesto. Manifestos. Again, something the liberals movement doesn't have. Speaking of which, someone remind me to write down the Ginger No State Manifesto at some point. Missy? Write that down. Yes, Supreme Dictator Reba Jones, the Lord of Dicks, self-appointed godfather of the Ginger No State, wielder of the 50-foot schlong, the King Slayer, most high midget thought of the Beckys, I will do that for you. How do you spell manifesto? And because I'm a lazy fuck, remember that, kids, for future reference and posterity's sake, and also because I have to remain true to the nature of the college student, which has been ingrained into my very soul, I didn't bother to read the Communist Manifesto. Because I have a valid reason. It's just silly. That's what SparkNotes are for. I mean, seriously, what is the point of the internet if you can't utilize your shortcuts to cut corners and dip under obstacles that... reading is an obstacle. Obstacles that you don't want to do. Someone else has read it already and then condensed and modernized everything for me. I would never dream of taking work away from the hard-working internet lit majors of the world. That would be too cruel. Section 1, Part 1, the hipsters versus the normies. That's not actually what it says, but we're definitely SparkNote the SparkNotes here. Hipsters are defined as those in society who have the means to frivolously spend their funds on various materialistic items that are completely unnecessarily. For instance, the iPoddy, or umbrella shoes, or silly bands. Also known as the bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie? French. And then we have the normies. This is why I chose to change the names of these people, who are not wealthy enough to spend frivolously on the iPoddy and umbrella shoes and silly bands, aka the proletariat. We are addressing in this section the evil natures of having a class structure and how it always results in some way in antagonism amongst the various classes, namely the hipsters and the normies. And it's essentially completely oversimplifying the nature of class division as it has been developed into its current state over time into two categories: the normies and the hipsters, bourgeoisie, and the proletariat. Now, remember, kids, when I say current state, I mean current in terms of 1847. So if this statement is any indication, it's a bit of an outdated piece of literature, mind you. Starting in the age of exploration and the need for production of goods by the non-governing class due to the time's growing of manufacture, eventually we get an industrial revolution, wherein we see the eventual rise of the industrial millionaire, which is supposed to be a bad thing because that's unfair and everyone should have exactly the same shares of everything all of the time, or else I'm telling Mom. Now, it goes even further into the evils of the bourgeoisie need for an ever-expanding market, and to put it in layman's terms,
the globalists are going to overthrow everything. They're coming for everybody.
Globalist conspiracy of production and consumption, and all the evils that come with, global consumption and production and such. Now, if you've grown bored with the manifesto, I don't blame you. So did I. Which is why I'll spare you the SparkNotes version, and sum the rest of each section up in, 1 or 2 sentences each. Section 1, Part 2, the hipsters and the normies. A brief history of the normie population in contrast to the hipsters. Woe is me for all time. Life sucks. I am being objectified. I cannot fend for myself. I am but a wee little nobody in a sea of nobodies. End scene. Sound depressing? Yeah, it's supposed to rally the common man to a cause, when in reality it's the textbook equivalent to the Democratic standard talking points of
You,
in Marx's case, the normie, but in the Democrats' case, it's the minority.
will never amount to anything because the man,
And that man being the hipsters or cis-straight white males, respectively, to the Marxist or Democratic ideology.
got his boot on your neck.
Section 2. The normies, and insert any organized group of people who fall under an ideology that focuses on a person's social standing with regards to arbitrary factors such as race, gender, sexuality, but in this case, financial standing. Essentially what this boils down to is a simple and ever-eloquent Vive la Revolution in petites baguettes, mentally with the added bonus of being one of these 14-word types of moments. We must secure the existence of our misery and suffering for all normies. Because you can't have economic inequality if everyone has not even so much as a single wad of toilet paper to their name. Well, their name specifically. It's a community water toilet paper. Sharing is caring. This brings us to Section 3, which is the beginnings of the attempted separation between Nazi ideology and commie ideology, or...
Bruh, you can't use reactionary socialism, conservative or bourgeoisie socialism, critical utopian socialism to represent communism, bruh. They're not even real communism. It's fake communism. They're just posing. They're fucking posers. Yeah.
Which is my cue to move on from this section. Hey, Marx, you don't seem to care about these, therefore I don't care at all either. Section 4. Can we coexist? This entire section can be summed up beautifully by this simple, final rallying cry. I didn't have to fucking lift a finger for this. Let the ruling classes tremble at a communistic revolution. The proletariats have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. Working men of all countries unite. Nothing to lose but their chains. Now, where on earth have I heard that one before? Ah, I know.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to fight.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
To sum up, the Commie Manifesto is to the commies what Mein Kampf is to the neo-Nazis. Would you like some cheese with that wine? So if you're wondering when this whole process starts getting successful, it's right about here-ish, kind of. It's an iffy. It's an iffy cliffy. This step is where you successfully revolt against the established monarch, killing them all. Yes, even the children. You thought school shooters were bad. Oh, baby, you've obviously never met a communist.
И сейчас будете расстреляны.
Что? Что вы сказали? Повторите. Господи, прости, их не ведают, что творят.
Anyway, so after you massacre the entire Romanov dynasty, take control of a country, ensure the illiteracy of your normie population and the perpetual poverty of said population as well, what do? Oh, you argue amongst yourselves. You know, that whole unified front thing that we were talking about in the section in the last step, that was the rallying cry I mentioned at the end of step 2? Yeah, fuck that. Majority gets what the majority wants, and the majority Bolsheviks, what do they want? Well, those bitches wanted a socialist revolution? Am I reading this Wikipedia article correctly, Svetlana? Yes, you are. But it says socialism. I'm aware. If you're not going to read the script, then maybe I should. You know what? Fine. Get your ass up here. Bye, bitches. Fine. But you owe me vodka. And it's got to be that good shit. None of that Svedka piss water you Americans try to pass off as alcohol. Okay, so hello everybody. I am Svetlana. This is unpleasant to meet you, but I suppose you are degenerates. You'll have to do. Never mind the fake horrible Russian accent. So we've established during step 3, you can basically scrap step 2. Yeah, the manifesto, we don't need that. So it's basically step 2, only reimagined. Because we'll be forming a Leninist Bolshevik party and we're going to be organizing everything on hierarchical basis. Capish? Fuck unity, fuck universal status equality. There'll be elite cadres, higher members of party as being reliable, completely subject to party discipline. Got We're going to enjoy this. I do love a good purge. It's how I can fit in my nice jacket. Do you like my jacket? It's real human scalp. You will enact a great purge for 1 year, because opinions that are opposite of the communism have no business existing on any level whatsoever. Basically, we are the Islamists of political economic ideologies. Yes, I'm sticking with that analogy. Because what this means is that anyone who was involved in what was originally step 3, which is now step 2, is put on trial and subsequently executed. We do love a good execution. Therefore, step 4, which is really step 3, is now actually step 2. Are you still with me? No, you are confusing that. I'm reading the script, you bitch. Get your ass down here, it's my turn to finish. Fucking Americans. Fine. Ow! Ah! Okay, so, the eventual power struggle that will result from the communist... God, my upper lip hurts. So, the eventual power struggle that will result from communism being involved in World War II and the downfall of the European and Japanese empires will leave a substantially sized power vacuum that only one thing can plug up. Alphabet letters. No, not the D. The USA and the USSR shall engage with each other on the field of international nuclear chess. Now, I say chess because no one in that game is ever willing to make a move at any time soon. No. And neither will anyone during the Cold War. I mean, let's be honest, that's why they call it the Cold War, because no one actually decided to push the big friggin' red button and set this Mexican standoff in motion. I mean, come on. Seriously? It's not like the current day world standing is anything to be impressed about. I mean, 200,000 years of humanity existing in the current state of evolution, and it all culminated into the future of our international communities obsessing over bath bombs and eating Tide Pods. Step 5, aka Step 4, aka Step 3, can be summed up into one main concept: capitalism versus communism. And how does this epic Mexican standoff with high-stakes climax, you may be wondering? In the most disappointing sex analogy of our time, more so even than Bacchus, the commies will not be blowing their acronym American counterparts off the face of the globe with nukes. Instead, the commies are going to reduce their nuclear warhead possession from a holy fucking shit level of Armageddon to a measly holy shit level of Armageddon. And then we're going to reevaluate our courses of action and take it back all the way to Step 2, because the Soviet Union is no more. So this last step is really Step 2. This current step is Step 2. No longer Step 4 or Step 6, it's Step 2. Now, you've probably noticed by this point that communism hasn't worked out so well, but that's because it hasn't been real communism. No, of course not. Real communism would work. So what you're going to do is form the Communist Party of China. But instead of communism, you're going to market it as socialism with Chinese characteristics, which is a fancy way of distancing yourself from the failures of the Russian implementation of Marxist ideology. And of course, while you're rebranding your economic policies, you're going to take some liberties with the creative licensing of communism. For instance, you're going to institute economic policy changes in 2 stages. Stage 1 being the decollectivization of agriculture, the opening up of the country to foreign investment, and permission from entrepreneurs to start businesses. Stage 2 of this economic change is the privatization and contracting out of much state-owned industry and the lifting of price controls, protectionist policies, and regulations. And yes, I know that sounds slightly capitalistic in nature, but it's not. It's communism, I swear. Just trust me on this. You've never been steered wrong by communism before, have you? Ignore retcon steps 2 through 6 found earlier in this video, please and thank you. Now, before I go, it should be noted that I have a Discord. And within the Discord, I have talked about doing this episode of Weebo Ruins Everything for Everyone on communism for a while now. And to my utter delight, my lovely viewers so graciously accepted the challenge and came up with their own list themselves of about 32 steps on this guide to success in communism. I can't exactly put this whole thing on my list, so I thought I'd share with you the rest of the audience the list that they compiled, and if you're feeling at all communistic, by all means, share with the rest of us in the comments any additional steps that you'd like to add to this list. Ask your parents to buy you a black mask and Soviet flag. Step 2, ask if you can stay out late with your comrade friends out in Berkeley. Step 3, always remember that it's totally acceptable to hate people who say things you don't like. Step 4, believe veteran people in wheelchairs because they voted Trump. Step 5, make sure all your friends are ideologically pure. Make no allowances for wrongthink. Step 6, be a cuck. Step 7, make sure not to actually read MAGA parody hats before you deploy pepper spray attack. Step 7, emulate Nazi brown shirt tactics. Well, step 8, now. Step 9, trash cans are the enemy. Attack trash cans. Always attack trash cans. With fighting. Step 10, mindlessly parrot what your professors in gender studies tell you. Do not question them. This ties in to Step 5. Step 11, safe spaces are useful for planning attacks on those that don't agree with you. Step 12, make everything about race and gender, because communism is an inclusive ideology. Unless you're white, or a male, you're racist. Step 13, chanting makes you totes hot. See how hot you are? So hot. Hey hey, ho ho. Step 14, things like statues aren't for history. They represent the mindsets of the figures. They must be destroyed. Step 15, history is racist and wrong. Ignore and or erase it. Step 16, we are not terrorists. We just commit acts that are terroristic, and the media will say that we aren't. Step 17, don't worry about getting caught assaulting people. The police have been ordered to stand down. Step 18, if you whine like a bitch, you'll eventually get what you want, even if it hampers those that work hard and have good morals. Step 19, don't worry about working. Your parents will pay for everything, so you can protest and riot without having to worry about those silly job thingies. Step 20, fuck you. Step 21, bike locks are for bashing the fash, and locking up bikes, but mostly bashing the fash. Step 22, burn this motherfucker to the ground. Who cares if we cost the city millions of dollars? Step 23, make sure you only riot on the coasts. The people in flyover country have guns. They carry them, and they take a dim view to assaulting innocent people. Step 25, give more reasons for Weebo to make a video. I skipped 24 because fuck you. Step 26, capitalism sucks. Money is bad except when it comes from George Soros. Then money is awesome, but we'll still say money is bad on our iPhones. Step 25, while money sucks, we want more of it because we still need the latest iPhone, but fuck corporations. Step 28, nothing really, just wanted to have attention with this step. Step 29, do anything and everything for attention, but if a journalist tries to document you, bash the fash, and even if they don't, bash the fash. Step 30, do everything you can to get your message out, except be filmed getting your message out, because you might get arrested, if the cops would do their jobs. Step 31, cops are evil, and them saying they aren't is just to get attention. Hashtag no rules. Step 32, try cross-dressing, because there is no way you can empathize with women if you don't go out in a skirt. And that's it for today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what I'm doing here on my channel, please consider checking out the Patreon, Maker, Teespring, and Amazon links in the description down below. If maybe you don't like my stuff that much, that's cool. You can always like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Hasta la vista.